Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is just a quick, I guess, maybe for me, a quick fish room update. There has been one pretty major change recently, and that is I installed through that hole down there, I installed a fairly large linear piston air pump. I guess I could put the specific model in the description. It's like 2,600 or so liters per minute. It's the same brand as this guy and that guy, but it's much higher power. It's the highest power one they have. Other changes, there hasn't really been any changes, by the way, to the big tank. Maybe a few new fish. They're hungry right now. So, like the datnoid, the big dat usually isn't out. The small dat, he's actually back there above the pleco. Wow, that water looks a lot dirtier when I'm recording than it does when I'm looking. But you could probably maybe make him out a little bit. The flagtail, perchalotus or whatever it is. But yeah, there is a datnoid right back there. Hello, datnoid. I don't know why I wanted to show you that so bad. No real changes to the big tank. It keeps doing what it's doing. The 55 over here, last time you guys saw it, probably didn't have any plants in it. Now it has a couple of plants in it. I've also upgraded the light on this one to an AI blade, I think it's called. That's $700 worth of lighting, $500 for the light itself, and then each one of those square arm thingies is 90 bucks and change. Crazy. All of the other tanks in here besides this tank and the big tank have the aquarium co-op lights. I just got, there's 3 albino geos and 1 red hump geo, or red hat, excuse me, red hat tapajo. And I got those from Dan's Fish recently. So they're going through a quarantine, and you're going to say, well, you don't have to quarantine them. They're from Dan's Fish. And I'm going to say, well, I quarantine anyway. How about that? Speaking of Dan's Fish, I also got 4 of these guys. 2 pairs of the Dragon Blood peacock cichlids, and they're looking pretty phenomenal. I think they look amazing. There's 4 of them in there. They're also from Dan's Fish. I got them on the same order. They're also quarantining. I just have them quarantining separate because my quarantine tanks are 20-gallon, and I just didn't want to put 8 fish into a single 20-gallon tank. No change up here with the midnight cichlid. I think they call him midnight cichlid. I don't know. He's really pretty. No change up in there. Just doing its thing. This tank is brand new. That's why it has a AquaClear 110 up front. Just to, it was a fully cycled AquaClear 110. And so I'm just have it on here to allow it to seed the rest of the tank with beneficial bacteria. These are Odessa barbs and Adolphoi corridors. And they've been in here. I bought both of them together from the same fish store, same system. So I'm not worried about having them in the same tank. They've been in here the tank's been set up for about a month with plants in it. The fish have been in here for about 3 weeks. I will consider it cycled and the quarantine over probably in about another 5 weeks. And then I have some more Odessa barbs that I had prior to getting these in another aquarium that I'll move in here. Man, look at all that. Look at that. That's a lot of air. This tank was set up for a long time. This is one that had it was a bare bottom tank. So really all I did was put it down onto the bottom of the rack that it was previously on. added 100 pounds of sand, and now I've got some Geos, some convict hybrids, some Cribenzas, and that tail that you see, the tail that you see sticking out down there is the South American lungfish. And I still think he's very cool. So this is this tank and the one above it don't have CO2 to them. Well, that tank doesn't either. But most of my planted tanks have CO2 to them now. This aquarium here, I've got a couple new fish probably. I got some datinoids you haven't seen. I've got the, I forget what that guy down there is called. He's going to get really big. I forget his name though. My experiment with trying the heavily seeded sponge filters to see if they made an appreciable difference to the nitrates didn't work. So I threw aquarium co-op sponges in here just to get more ideas of how they work. I'm also trying aquarium co-op power heads on this tank. I don't know. I like power heads a lot, especially for tanks where there's a lot of detritus. The power heads really help to pull it down through the substrate. The tub now has a bunch of duckweed in it. Can't see anything in there. Hate duckweed. The Turkana Jewels and the Congos are doing well. You saw these guys before. I am having a bit of an issue with cyanobacteria and beard algae, and that's not great. I am trying this stuff right here, Green Water Labs Algae Control. I'm in the second week of it. I've done 2 doses. So I've done one full $22 bottle already in here, and I've got another $22 bottle ready to go. I got babies. I don't know if you can see them. Got little babies. Little babies. So hopefully that'll get it under control. I'm also dosing with hydrogen peroxide and Flourish Excel. And yes, there is CO2 back in there. This tank is relatively recently set up. There's no stock. Well, I guess technically, if you count, I've got some ghost shrimp and I've got some snails in here. See this little ghost shrimp down there? If you count those, I have stock in there, but I just use ghost shrimp because people buy them for feeders, so they're inexpensive. So that's all that's in here. Obviously, the plants aren't all planted. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with this aquarium yet. So whatever plants I don't use down here, I'm going to end up planting up in here to add more plant load to this aquarium, because if there's this much algae, then there's too many nutrients floating around. No change to this 20 long. I'm probably going to replace this one with a 40 here in a bit. Here's where the rest of my Odessa barbs and this 20 long. And it's a little bit overgrown. Just a little bit overgrown. And then over here, this tank has changed. I switched it out, so now I'm doing another little test. I like my little test to see if if like the Amazon finer sponge filters work better or worse in a kind of more of an endurance test than the Aquarium Co-op coarser sponge filters. But I was getting a lot of detritus in here, so I've added 6 Geos. There's 3 Hecali, young Hecali, and 3 Thread Finicara, and we'll see what they do. And then I also had an AquaClear 110 on the back. The AquaClear 10 did a whole lot more for knocking down the detritus than the Geos did, but I figured anything really tilling up the sand would move a lot of the detritus down into it. So there you go. That's where we're at for today. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.